And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have 1, 2, 3 good brothers and sisters. Ha 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 ha! We we have our returning good brother in Flames Scion, who is
Is
in a running bet with the Grim Reaper sometimes. At which point, Mad Malnarch is looking at you saying, "First time?"
Yeah.
Oh. And in addition to that, we have a couple of newcomers. We have two FNGs. Oh. On one end of the spectrum, we have good sister Ramen.
Hello.
And on the other end of the spectrum, we have good sister Zunix.
Hi, hi.
And thank you both for being open to doing this. I know it is sometimes a bit of an adventure to get people to try new things in this space. And especially when somebody looks at the body of work and goes, I'm not that much of an expert, and like a lot of times with the stuff we cover here, it's first time with it. So you're in good company. But
yeah, I don't know. They brought me here saying we're gonna do some systems that are adjacent to 5th edition or D&D, and I was like, oh god, not again.
Oh, that was the original plan. I think that lasted all of 2 seasons. And given recent events, I decided I'm going to pivot more towards highlighting video game-inspired TTRPGs for at least a little while.
It's worth it. It's a nice experience to see what else that we can find.
Besides, I needed a palate cleanser after revisiting Fabula Ultima and being reminded why I was the one person in the room who was significantly critical of it. It doesn't exactly help matters that when somebody brings up my game, I hear a bunch of people going, "Just play Fab Ult, bro." And I talked with you about this a few weeks ago, Flame. Or when people discuss doing mecha in RPG form, somebody inevitably says, "Just use Lancer."
No.
Lancer's a fine game, but depending on what you're looking for, it may not help you. And for the people new here, whether it be within the call or watching, I try to take an approach of a tailor. It's not really about what game is the best, but more of what I'm willing to recommend. And the other reason I picked the two that we have here is one of them is a Japanese TTRPG that was translated into English and put up on DriveThruRPG for free, and the other is an early attempt at doing console-style RPGs, or JRPGs, in tabletop form. This is the first one that we have, Aegis. This came out all the way back in 2011. And was one of the very early examples of attempting this. You can kind of see it with how it presents itself as an ebook.
Remember ebooks? Because I don't.
Yeah, I remember them.
But and I will be doing my absolute best to not invoke D&D unless I absolutely have to. Usually in the case of of picking on Wizards of the Coast, because, well, they make it so easy. If they don't want me to pick on them, they shouldn't give me so much ammo.
I feel like the times that we bring up D&D is A, you have to shoot against, you have to take your shots against Wizard of the Coast, B, you have to shit on the Vancian system of magic. Or C, you have to say how much you hate people who just shit on 4th edition. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And since one of the more successful OGL responses is very heavily drawing upon 4th edition, I feel all the more reason to be insufferable. Especially with all the people who gave me endless amounts of shit for liking 4th edition and then turn around and enjoy and talk about how much they love Draw Steel.
We need to sound what's it called? A gong every time 4th edition is mentioned.
No.
Here, I got one for you. I have my D20 right next to me.
Oh. I have a special pewter D20 that, the natural 1 says, fuck me. The natural 20 says, fuck you.
Oh my gosh. I have metal D20s. I have metal dice right next to me.
Oh. There's also, if I need to do a punishment game, I'll have somebody do the D4 Firewalk.
Oh gosh.
It's exactly
Oh, no.
what you think it is.
So instead of moonwalking, they'd be firewalking.
Nope. You just have to walk along a path covered in D4s barefoot. You can wear socks, but I'm not gonna be too crazy with it. But you have to walk on D4s.
That's worse than stepping on Legos.
Yeah. Oh. Although I've
I
seen
just
some
looked at
molds
my
do
big
a
folder.
Lego Firewalk. Oh. But I'm assuming everybody's got the PDF for Aegis loaded up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So Aegis runs at 84 pages, and for something that came out in 2011, it is impressive that they put in bookmarks. Even some games that come out now forget to put bookmarks in. Oh. And Mario in the chat says, "Hey Monk, WotC is releasing Dark Sun, all new potential ammo." I'm aware of that. Oh. If I'm being honest, they should have done Dark Sun 7 years ago.
But that would have been a good move. And Wizard of the Coast hates making good moves.
Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit exasperated that they're spending so much time saying, "Oh, this is the first 18+ source book that we've ever released." I'm like, motherfucker, no, it's not. Because you did Vile Deeds and Exalted Darkness in 2003. And Treb also says, makes it hilarious that people hated 4E for being WoW, and now they're doing a Universe Beyond shit with WoW and Star Wars. WoW in D20 has been done. It was done by Sword and Sorcery back in the 2000s. And their Star Wars attempt, it's not going to be as good as the Star Wars 5e that's been out for years by fans. And the whole tabletop WoW thing, as somebody who was at ground zero for all of it, let me state as a guy who knows it's bullshit. It is bull and shit. It is about as ridiculous as when people say that they hate Call of Duty and it's clear from how they talk they've never played a single one of them.
Yep.
Versus people who have played and hate the modern Call of Duty for being put in a direction that its design wasn't built for.
I don't know. I stopped playing after Black Ops 2.
Everybody was said stop playing after.
I stopped playing after Black Ops 6.
Oh.
I've not tried it, so I have no opinion, genuinely.
I'll summarize it with Call of Duty was supposed to be an anti-power fantasy. And in early entries, up until World at War, it very much was that.
Okay, so they kind of just shifted to something else then.
Yeah, the game was designed on being that anti-power fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And then they shifted into being this Hollywood action movie power fantasy, while still maintaining the same mechanics. So there's a clash. But now with Aegis, after the whole how to read this ebook and the tape and a decent table of contents, I feel like this. It is amusing that this is a Italian project, because
Mamma mia.
I have covered way too many Italian games on this channel, including Augusta Universalis, which I'm covering on Fridays. But after we get through the table of contents, which before I do that, I do want to skip to the end for one small thing. Okay, that's unfortunate. No index. This is only 84 pages, so it's not a deal breaker, but that's still something I have to bring up. But the opening fiction unexpected event, obviously I'm skimming that. This was something that you'd see very commonly in the 2000s and 2010s, as everyone was cribbing notes from World of Darkness still. But then we have the introduction about this being a cooperative RPG for 4 to 6 players, one participant doing the narrator, basically the DM. And then what's needed to play? So you're gonna need some D6s, at least 7 per player. Pencils, erasers.
A wargaming amount of dice.
Yeah.
A wargaming amount of dice, but not a Shadowrun amount of dice.
How many dice you need in Shadowrun?
More.
Fuck. Well, there goes my window of wanting to try it.
There's the meme of the big ass cube of Shadowrun dice. When I say a cube, I mean like a 6-inch cube of just D6s. And somebody saying,
"Oh God."
But then they go into a short description of the game. Aegis is inspired by Japanese RPGs, in which a group of heroes fight and live their adventures in a techno-fantasy world, where ancient machinery from the past ages coexist. And hey there, Joe?
You know, I think you're going to have to rename that award after me.
No. If I do that, Doku is going to subject
1 hour.
If I do that, Doku is going to subject me to watching more Caps games.
You know, that's fair. That's fair. That's a fate worse than death.
Yeah, that is a fate worse than death, actually. Yikes.
I mean, on the plus side, he's not making me watch Mets games or Browns football.
I don't know what's worse.
Browns football, because that's one of the 3 teams that has the shame of having a perfect losing record.
But at least they're entertaining.
But here's the thing. Do their jerseys look cool?
No, they're orange and brown.
Okay, then set it on fire. It doesn't matter.
No wonder they always fail. They're the color of fall.
I'll do a small tangent on it, but the perfect example of this this type of failure is the fact that when they came back, because the original Browns are what's now known as the Ravens, they had a Monday Night Football game in their new stadium up against the Steelers. A much ballyhooed thing where you have Drew Carey doing a hype speech before the game starts. They got completely shit stomped and only got 3 points on that game.
Oh no! Oh.
And because this was on Monday night, they got shit stomped in front of 20 million people watching.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard knock life.
Sadly, things would get worse. But going back to it, it says, as a player, you'll choose the guild your character belongs to in order to characterize his or her role in the team and peculiar powers. As the Aegis teams reach their maximum potential when all roles are present, each team cannot include more than one member of the same guild. The narrator sets up all dangers. The rest is the standard what is a role-playing game kind of thing. It also notes in several parts of the Aegis game, player creativity is left totally free, and this may create discordances in the ideas that everyone provides to the story. Even though the Japanese RPG style is quite varied, see the Final Fantasy series, it is often a good idea to define the mood of the game. This pretty much I think what's noted with the whole a note on playstyle can be summed up in the importance of Session 0 nowadays. You know, something so that everyone's on the same page regarding the tone. But after a couple short stories, one involving the birth of Aegis, and then another one with a new beginning, we then get straight into character creation, which is a 7-step process. First defining name, race, and place of origin, then your guild, then your abilities, then 10 resources, then 3 powers, then determine your weapon. I know there's a typo there, but remember, not their first language. And your style
They
and
are
markup your vigor.
Italiano.
Then choose your goal. So with name, race, and place of origin is pretty straightforward. There isn't a place of origin thing mechanically, so we don't have to worry too much on that. Your guild is, I know it'd be tempting to look at guild as akin to class, but I think it's more akin to archetype. In the sense that it's representing a leaning, but not necessarily what you're going to be getting your kit from. But you pick one of 5 guilds. Soldiers, the armed hand of Aegis. I don't think I need to explain what a soldier is. Chroniclers.
What is a soldier?
Somebody
Hey,
who had
somebody
had the cells of not Lovecraft cancer be put into them.
Wait, they misspelled it. It's supposed to be all in caps.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh, I thought it was someone that ate crayons.
No, those are Marines.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep. But, and we have chroniclers, recorders of the deeds and lore of Aegis. Scouts, who are, I think, self-explanatory as far as what a scout is.
What's the scout?
In the name of the moon, they will punish you.
The scout is that one Boston idiot who's running around with a bat.
Bonk.
Ah.
Also, do not go into a scout mission with House Steiner, because their approach is nobody can know if nobody's left alive, then it's technically a successful scout mission.
Hey, that's my stealth approach for Metal Gear. If there are no survivors, then it is still stealth.
Yeah, it is technically correct.
Oh. Then we have Arcanists, who are essentially the elemental mages of Aegis, mastering the elements of air.
Okay, so we just have Avatar.
OG Avatar, yes. Post that. Well, we try to focus on good things here.
I could use a bender. I can't bend my knees anymore.
Oh.
My
I think
bad for me.
the most useful thing that's ever happened with Legend of Korra was me going up to an Amon cosplayer with a envelope that said "Do not bend." Some of you may think that's out of line. I'll remind the people who know me and some of the new people that on multiple occasions I have gone to conventions with a trash can. A trash can that has a note on the front of it that says, "Your waifu."
Listen, now I want a picture of the Amon cosplayer putting the "Do Not Bend" sticker on the envelope.
But the last role is Chosen, who are the ones who are able to wield artifacts. Each guild gives a particular power, a named base power, and lets you choose from 3 more from a specific list. This is why I said archetype, because it's not a linear progression the way classes are. You could kind of think of it as not far removed from like the castes in Exalted. But after picking your guild, you assign abilities. The 3 abilities are Battle, Research, and Reasoning. All of them start with a base score of 3. You have 7 dice to split between them. No ability can go higher than 7 at character creation. After which you define your resources. While abilities define the possibilities a character has to perform actions, resources represent how these actions are performed. Resources are 10 short descriptions of the characteristics you deem more influential and interesting in your character. And they give a short list of examples, and I'd say this is not far removed from the concept of aspects in a game like Fate. And I will give them credit for the fact that instead of just pushing me in front of the pool and saying, "Swim, damn it," there's at least some degree of guidance with these, though it is a little on the broad side of things. And when you have this sort of blank check, as I call it, you can run into situations where there's not really a clear line between what's too broad and what's too specific. But hey, at least we're not dealing with the bullshit of the aspect system that you see in Fate. And no, I'm not talking about Fate the anime. I'm talking about Fate by Evil Hat for those who are new here. But it does say, in mechanical terms, during game phases, you'll be able to call in a resource to obtain a bonus action or reaction. The only rule, and the most important one, is that you must include the way your resource influences your action in the description you make of it in order to obtain the bonus point. So given that it's a bonus action, I think this makes it somewhat better than the aspect setup. But after that, you do choose powers. Powers represent specific capabilities tied to a character's guild and yield mechanical effects that are predetermined by the game rules. Below you'll find the list of the different guilds with their base power, which each member has, and the additional ones, among which you must select 3. Keep in mind there is no limit to the number of powers you can use at one time, so you'll be able to create different combinations. And given the way these powers are described, I guess you could think of them as akin to feats, but they're carrying a lot more weight than individual feats are. Actually, if I'm going to be referencing Call of Duty again, perks. We have perks here.
Oh.
But like for Soldier, the base power is Warrior Spirit, which during battle phase you do not roll dice to generate your reserves, but instead distribute your score as you wish. I have a feeling we'll come back to that later. But I do like that if someone wanted to, because of the fact that there's 9 powers, it'd be really funny if you roll a d10 to see what additional powers you end up getting.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the source material, they couldn't help themselves, but from giving the soldier a gunblade if you want it.
Wait, that's not a soldier, that's a seed.
But a lot of the other entries we see here, it's very clear. If you're picking soldier, you're probably going to be getting in the fray. But then we have Scout. Base power is Acute Senses. During battle phase in the deployment role, you will always be the last to declare your placement and the first to act. Once per mission, you can use your research ability instead of your battle score in order to generate reserves. So people who want to be the rogue or the ranger are probably going to pick Scout. On the other hand, I feel bad for anyone who declares that they main rangers in games like D&D. If only because ranger has always been cursed.
I mean, who the hell's idea was to make an outdoor fighter in what was essentially a dungeon crawler?
I don't know whose idea was it to try and do psychics in a fantasy game.
No idea.
Oh. And
Sounds like someone litigious.
but the Chronicler's base power is Voice of Aegis. Once per exchange in any phase, you can move up to 2 dice from the reserve of one character to that of another. Once per phase, you can use a power from another team member, except a base or chosen power. So, I just realized Joe, Chronicler is what I have for Squire.
Pretty much.
Oh.
Inspire courage, leader, yeah.
They are... Chronicler might have the vibe of Diplomancer, but I suppose a better example would be what, say, Bard is supposed to be and what Warlord is.
Or a nerd.
Oh. Because I know some people say that there is a 5e equivalent of Warlord in the College of Valor Bard. It's not. It is not and never will be. Oh. But it is that support archetype that isn't using magic. Speaking of magic, Arcanist. Its base power is Art of Magic. Each time an action tied to one of your talents is opposed in battle, roll 1 die. With a result of 4 or higher, you obtain 1 action that you must spend immediately to activate an escalation. Moreover, during the research phase, you can use several effects tied to the powers you have, described under the following table. I know we made the Avatar joke early on, but we've got a lot more elements that we're working with here. Let's see, fire, earth, shadow, air, light, water, nature, mind, and depth.
By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet!
Wait, you're Ted Turner?
This time. There's also nature and earth.
Though we can't form Captain Planet. We don't have heart.
Well, we do. They don't.
Blame Kalima.
Not Shikaka?
No. Or shish kebab. But anybody who is trying to do a caster is probably going to be picking Arcanist, whether it be Druid, whether it be Wizard, whether it be Sorcerer. I feel like Sorcerer would lean, or just anybody who likes to do Blaster caster would lean into Arcanist, which is most likely going to be Sorcerers or Warlocks. Well, Warlocks before they screwed it up, because somebody was like, hey, let's turn Warlocks into yet another half-caster. What could possibly go wrong?
I would tell you what's wrong, but first I need to take a short rest.
Good one. I love it. I love it.
That one's good.
They do give suggestions on some of the narrative uses that you could use with the Arcanist's abilities. And then we have Chosen, whose base power is Artifact. You are a Chosen One. A powerful and ancient artifact has created an unbreakable bond with your soul, turning you into a living weapon. Whether you like it or not, the team needs your immense power to face the Forsaken Legion. Select one type of weapon, melee or range, that will become your artifact. You gain the following 3 base effects. Energy storage. During a battle, when the moment to act comes, you can move points from your reserves to your artifact, which are named power points or power dice. On your next turn, you can spend power dice. On your next turn to act, you can spend them to activate artifact powers. At the end of the combat phase, save for special effects of your powers, all power dice stored are lost. So, better use them if you don't want to lose them. With Ancient Power, for each power dice spent, one of your attacks is considered 1 power level higher. For Recall the Legion, all opponents belonging to the Forsaken Legion choose you as their primary target. I suppose this is part of the reason why why early on they suggested not having two characters of the same guild in the party. So you don't have to answer the question, what if you've got two chosen and how are they going to prioritize who's getting hit?
No, I've been more chosen than you.
Mm-hmm. But there's not really... I know it'd be tempting to say chosen is akin to an artificer, but that's not really the case. I think what we've got with chosen... I'd say this would be more akin to what I have with the Crown's Guard job. Or any particular job where you have somebody who already has a built-in artifact that develops with them. There's not a lot of games that really have that. 4th edition kind of had it with artifacts as a subtype of magic item that does develop with you. But they didn't have that in 5e because for some godforsaken reason they decided, and I blame Crawford for this, decided not to put item creation in the core book. Not even in the DM's guide, where you think that kind of thing would be useful.
Oh, that's right. That shit is in Senator's Guide to Everything.
Yeah, which is cold comfort to the people who had to wait 2 years for that. Especially when past editions had it. So you have that awkward question of, if they were able to do it a few years ago, why can't you now?
Because we need money.
Time is money. Money is valuable.
No, instead they have to try and make the ridiculous claim that you could reskin a paladin to make a samurai character. No, I'm never letting that go. Yes, I know that the Kensei subclass would eventually come up, but that didn't happen at the time.
It was either that or always, whenever someone made a good question, the answer was always just homebrew it.
Which, you know, if Bethesda is going to get all the shit that they do for over-relying on modders, I think that a TTRPG that overly relies on homebrew should be just as viable to get that kind of shit. And Mario, yes, the 5e core books, I'm not sure if this is still the case with the 2024 versions, because I haven't read too deeply into them, did not have an item creation system in the core books. It wasn't until an expansion came around that was actually attempted to put in, and even then it was half-assed.
Well, technically, part of the DM's guide had a third-assed attempt of doing that kind of stuff. But it was only for, like, very specific shit.
Mm-hmm.
And Senator just... I don't know, they give it a little bit more of thought. But it's still, like, barely usable.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But after that, they go into weapon, style, and vigor. You have to choose what sort of weapon you'll use in combat, which may be the one that most suited to your character. In game terms, you have to keep in mind whether it's a melee or a ranged weapon. Melee weapons can only target enemies in your block, Ranged weapons can attack any enemy, but you cannot spend actions to increase the amount of damage. Which, I'd say that's a nice trade-off. And it's clear we're not dealing with a traditional battle grid. And of course, style is how your character looks. And your vigor is always 7. The last part is goal, which is kind of self-explanatory what your character goal should be. And I do like that they go into a lot of detail about advice on the matter. And give a full-on sample character straight out of the 2010s. But then we get to game mechanics. Game management is split into phases. During one phase, the team acts within a given framework, social, investigative, or violent, in order to achieve goals that will grant an advancement in the mission. And the rules here are presented according to a precise schema, which is listing the options of a given phase for all players, including the narrator, in order to make them readable and clear since the beginning. So the phases are briefing, research, battle, and recovery. Why does that sound familiar?
Because it does.
I have a 4-act structure with my own game, with my own FF game. But, you know, briefing is the narrators informing the squad about the goal of the mission. Research is the main phase, all the moments where you're traveling and gathering info useful to the mission. Battle, where you're entering the battlefield to deal with what enemies are on their way. And recovery, where a special phase that can be called in by the team in a given circumstance. It represents a moment of rest when characters recover their strength and interact with, I think it's supposed to be one another, but I think the last word got cut. And when it comes to acting, that's partly done through generating reserves. Each player takes as many dice as he has points in the ability used for that particular phase. Remember, you only have 3 abilities. Then decide how to act, declaring an attitude. Active, you're trying to perform as many actions as possible. Reactive, you're concentrating on defense, trying to block any negative action against yourself. As soon as everyone has declared their attitudes, they roll the dice and divide them among the 2 action and reaction boxes on the character sheet. So if you're taking the active stance, and active and reactive are basically stances. 3s to 6 are actions. Everything else is reactions. If you're doing reactive, 3s to 6 are reactions, and 1s and 2s are actions. The narrator does not generate any reserves, but has a unified value known as adversity that they can use like actions or reactions when needed. The base value of adversity is equal to 3 points per member of the team. So, essentially, you're not this is one of those cases. You're not rolling to hit, you're rolling to see what your action economy is going to be.
So you're basically trying to see what you can pull from basically a deck of cards.
Yeah. It'd be a few years before Slay the Spire came out, but I suppose that'd be one parallel I could bring up. In fact, just to make sure I'm not talking out of my ass, let me see when Slay the Spire came out.
I can do that.
Let's see. The original Slay the Spire came out in 2019, so that's quite a ways.
When did Aegis come out?
2011.
Yeah, about 8.
But when declaring phases, the players decide upon agreement what their characters will do, and the narrator prepares the phases accordingly. They declare their attitudes, generate their reserves, and play until the events compel the players to ask the narrator for a new phase. The narrator can use the adversity pool to generate problems and counter the actions of the team, but he must always comply with the ideas that the players want to include in the story. So in other words, the team decides actions, the narrator decides consequences. And actions and reactions are expended to obtain and negate effects on the narration of events. You'll use actions by declaring what you want to obtain until all actions have been used, or until all players have decided they don't want to use the ones they have left. This cycle is what's called exchange. If at the end of an exchange the purpose of a phase has not been achieved, you start over by picking attitude again and then generating reserves. So you could look at exchanges as a full turn. Now, as far as spending actions and reactions, there's two ways. The first one is that you, as a player, declare to use one action to achieve an effect on the narration that, if it is not countered by an adversity, will take place and become irrefutable. In a few words, you spend actions to guarantee that what you want to achieve cannot be modified or contested in the future. The narrator can introduce an adversity point, or state that you use one action and describe the intrusion given. If the narrator does not spend adversity points at once to counter your statement, they will not be able to eventually insert events tied to the fact that you did the action. So they can't hold it and say, I'm spending this adversity points to retroactively do something. No. It's clear that it's not doing that. And on the other hand, if they do it, you can spend one reaction to negate what the narrator wishes to insert. So you spend one action to make a statement irrefutable. The narrator can spend adversities to insert problems or prevent your success. If the narrator is inserting a problem, they spend one adversity. You can spend reactions to avoid the problem. So again, this is less on a roll to hit and more on resource management. But it is not all a one-to-one. Because on the section about power levels, talks about there are 3 power levels in Aegis, which are used to denote a scale of might used during phases. These influence actions and reactions in a progressive way. So one action of a superior power level requires an additional reaction to counter it, and vice versa. The 3 tiers are Alpha, Beta, and Gamma. And essentially, each tier above Alpha requires more reactions in order to counter it.
This kind of reminds me of how more or less the second edition of 7th Sea works.
I could see it. And by the way, good brother Sizer was at Gen Con talking extensively with the folks at Studio at GOT who are working on 3rd edition 7th Sea.
Hell yeah.
Because the world needs more swash and buckle, and I had an excuse to inflict Ailstorm and the Dread Crew of Oddwood on everyone.
So we all need a little bit of chaos, is what you're telling me?
Yes. But on the other hand, the whole higher reaction thing also applies in reverse. If you're, say, alpha level and you want to do an action against something that's a higher power level, you have to spend more actions in order to do it. The example they give is that a level alpha must spend 2 actions to initiate an attack against a level beta and 3 for a level gamma. And if you're doing multi-target attacks, for example, you have to spend for those too. For each extra target, you have to spend more actions. And if those targets are higher level, then the additional cost still applies. So, when it comes to resources, using it is during any phase. If you need to spend 1 action or one reaction, you can state that you activate a resource to immediately gain 1 point instead of taking 1 from your reserves. And as mentioned previously, you can only do this if the resource that you're using has the proper description. Once used, you mark the resource with an X. You will not be able to use it again until you've regenerated it with a power, with a refuge, or with a recovery phase. And the narrator can get adversity points back in 2 ways: from dark events during the research phase and from recovery scenes. And getting additional ones is a case of, if you don't use it, you lose it. And I appreciate that that's here, because due to the way resources are set up here, not resources, but just resource management, it could be very tempting to be too conservative with it. You know, the 99 megalixirs problem, also known as the rainy day paradox. I think we've all had that instance of holding on to that 1 megalixir or that 1 healing potion until the heat death of the universe.
Yeah.
Way too often.
It's like, I can't use one of my 99 megalixirs. What if I need it for later? He says, up against the final boss of the campaign.
Mildred, I need to save it for campaign number 2.
Yeah, I gotta save it for campaign number 5. That's fine.
But the next few pages go over the different phases and some of the potential actions or notes that can be done for each phase. When they go into the briefing phase, I don't know why, but part of my mind is thinking of those mission briefings in pretty much everything Mission Impossible related, including ending it with, "This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Good luck."
I just think of whatever they say on the missions before you start in Ace Combat, telling me how many war crimes am I about to commit.
All I think about. You go first.
It's not a war crime if it's the first time.
Very true.
That is true. All I think about is, oh yes, OSHA handbook? Nah, don't need it.
What's with 1 or 2 killed presidents? It's not like they're still in charge.
Have any of you ever seen that one forklift safety video that was made in Germany that was very creative with showing occupational hazards?
No, but now I
Yes.
need to.
I mean,
Oh no.
I'll give them congratulations on being effective at it, but it's a case of they understood the assignment. The problem was they understood the assignment.
Let me guess, they understood it too well.
Yes.
So they got an A+ on the assignment.
They got an A+ in the same way that I got an A+ during the mirror writing incident. Look. If you set April 1st as the due date for an assignment, you are asking for trouble.
That's what my mother said when she had me.
What is April 1st your birthday?
Unfortunately, yes.
I was kidding.
I do remember this thing.
I think
Oh no.
I told you. I know I told you, Joe, about this. And I think I told you, Flame. I submitted an assignment for on April Fool's Day. 20 pages. The whole thing was mirror written.
Oh yeah, I think you did.
What? First off, how do you manage to mirror write? What the? Huh?
By hand. I didn't have Photoshop or Illustrator.
Who hurt you?
How much time did you spend on a red room with a dwarf that speaks backward?
No, what I did is I typed the thing out, then printed it, then had it up on a stand, and carefully wrote the thing by hand backwards.
Oh gosh, that's so much ink. I'm
That
crying.
is so much dedication.
Just for a prank.
Yes. Because if I'm going to prank somebody, I'm going to go the extra mile.
You know what? I give you props to it.
Even if going the extra mile leads to some people getting nightmares about it after the fact, which that's not my problem. Oh.
I think your teacher had nightmares after that.
Well, he called me out in front of everybody asking why I did it, and I told him, why'd you set April Fool's Day for the due date with me around?
Fair enough.
I already had a reputation because of things like the time that I lured a bunch of ducks into the dorms, or the whole thing with messing around with the computers in a computer room so that the CD tray opens every 90 seconds.
I'm sorry. You had me at ducks in the dorms.
Yes. I lured a bunch of ducks into the dorm room. So somebody was just wandering around at 11 o'clock at night, they'd see ducks wandering down the halls.
You should have just stepped up your game and do the same with geese. It's not really hard for them to chase you.
I couldn't find any. I tried to go with Canadian geese, okay. I couldn't find any.
Okay, that is acceptable then.
If I wanted to really create a health hazard, I'd probably use something like wolverines.
Yeah.
Which, it will always amuse me that Wolverines and skunks and honey badgers are in the same family.
They are, ironically.
It honestly makes perfect sense. Wolverines are 20 pounds of pure, unadulterated hatred.
All of them are just hatred.zip.
And, well, there's that story of the honey badger that got its ass kicked by a lion, got rescued by some vets, and after it got healed up, it went to go pick a fight with that exact same lion.
I guess it held a grudge.
I guess. Even with the narrative aspect, I'm glad that they give a lot of examples and guidance when it comes to the briefing phase, because that's something that could easily be skimmed in a lesser game. But then the research phase, which they do go into where and when, and since dark events were mentioned earlier, saying a mission is a rush against time, and hesitation often complicates situations in an irreversible way. At the end of any exchange, when the team has not reached the goal of the mission, the narrator receives 2 adversity points that he or she may put in reserve and add to the adversity pool in a subsequent phase. You may accumulate points from several exploration phases, but you cannot use more than 2 points per exchange from research phases. So you do have a nice risk if you end up failing. You're making things worse later on for the party. No pressure. But with refuges, as a player, you can spend 1 action to create a refuge, which is something to which your character is attached or bound, and from which they can draw strength during a mission. It could be a person, place, or an item that has some value. So, fortunately, you're not building a camp in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a city. Once per mission, you can use your refuge to recover 1 point of vigor or remove a negative status. You do have to have a valid in-game justification to do so, but it is an option. And and keep in mind the research phase is not meant to be like a dungeon crawl. It's meant to be the info gather or just preparation. Even just getting from one place to the next still counts under the research phase. And I am so glad they gave an example of that phase. But when it comes to the battle phase, they, instead of using a standard grid like you would see in a lot of fantasy games, it is using a circular grid made of 4 circles divided by 2 lines. Each of the resulting areas is called a space. In this way, we have a circular map with 16 spaces. So it's a circular grid with 4 circles with two intersecting lines. Essentially a bullseye. And I do like they say, keep in mind that the grid does not have the purpose of recreating a precise stage for the battle, but simply to let you visualize the options available to each combatant. I think this is something that some are likely going to struggle with, depending on how brain-rotted they are when it comes to the idea of traditional grid combat with only 6 squares of movement and all that. But oddly enough, it reminds me a lot of Wild Arms 4 and 5. But I think it's going this kind of abstract with the grid. I think was a smart move because I've mentioned this in the past. There's been a bit of a shift when it comes to how people lay out their combat scenes compared to the early days, where it's a lot more open and a lot more set piece like, but movement mechanics haven't caught up with that. I remember half jokingly stating on Twitter, "We've had zone defense in sports for decades. Why don't we have that in our RPGs?"
Not wrong.
A case in point is the fact that for a lot of those cover your friend kind of effects, you have to be right next to their square. But you look at combats in a lot of games, and everybody's spread out. It's very difficult to do that unless you both move at the exact same time in the exact same directions, which is a bit of an ask. But getting back on the rails, the deployment role they discuss is a reasoning test, which then makes an initiative track based on who had the most successes and ended with whoever rolled the fewest. Essentially, who got the more 3-ups. And we are dealing with of course escalating initiative. Nobody uses initiative from the bottom in years, largely because it would be so counterintuitive. There were some early versions of D&D that had descending initiative. And the whole ascending or descending initiative was actually a contentious thing at one point. But to be honest, I don't miss it. Much in the same way I don't miss Thaco. God help you if you ever had to deal with 2-hit armor class 0.
Oh gosh. Oh no.
Yeah, you
I
know.
don't want to remember that. I don't want to remember it. Oh no.
Hold on, I need to whip
purpose-
my scientific calculator to know if I did hit the dog.
Huh?
We're not talking about Starfleet battles.
I was like, what? What?
Which, admittedly, Starfleet battles has been my whipping boy for overcomplicated damage calculation and tracking. Even by war game standards. And I'm gonna put something in the side chat for you guys, just so you can see the kind of pain that I had to deal with whenever I tried to play this. Look at this.
Okay. Should I try and describe it?
Try would be the operative word, but go ahead.
So, for anybody that knows Star Wars, imagine, actually, would it be, no, this more looks like a Star Trek.
Yep, it is Star Trek.
No? Yes, okay. The Star Trek fleet ship with, a lot of different, basically you're trying to, play, I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm
Advanced
looking at.
battleship. I don't know what
Yeah,
I'm looking at
advanced
either.
battleship, yeah.
I think this is just an overlay of a ship that you're putting on that one Excel sheet that you're totally gonna get done by tomorrow first out.
Oh yes, totally.
No, that ain't it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
This can-
escapes human. You know when Lovecraft say a horror that cannot be described? Yeah, this is exactly
is-
it.
Like,
It's
Ah,
this.
Ah, sweet. Man-made horrors beyond my comprehension.
it is.
Like the sun? No, wait, that's not man-made.
Haha. You know what's my man-made horror? League of Legends.
I'm sorry, my cholesterol can't handle that much salt.
Oh.
I heard salt. Anime.
Yep.
I almost said that out loud.
I have not touched League since Dominion.
Good.
Actually, that's pretty good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think
I
that's
do-
quite lucrative for me because I just played once.
Mhm.
I got what apparently was an expensive skin out of one of those free boxes they give you, and then I sold my account, and then I never played again.
You sold your account.
I
Yeah.
How
find
much
it
money did-
absolutely hilarious when I see Riot.
Adjusted to inflation, it is like I want to say $30.
Fair enough.
Bruh.
I always laugh
I'm
when
being stubborn, so
when-
I have to get
Oh.
going.
No worries, Joe. Thanks
really
for
sorry.
stopping in, and stay frosty, man.
Take care,
Ah.
everyone. Fortune favor you
But-
all.
Take care.
Take care.
Yep, take care.
It will always make me laugh when I hear Riot complain about toxicity, because I'm like, you guys, this is a self-inflicted wound for you idiots.
Yeah. I can just like how you will gladly put salt on the wound on Wizards of the Coast, I will gladly put salt on the wound on Riot.
Mhm.
Because they put salt on the wound all the time, of both for League of Legends and Valorant, across the board for both of their games. It is hilarious.
'Cause-
I do recommend the experience of seeing or watching, or at least just trying to get screenshots of what it is a normal ranked match in the Latin American servers of League of Legends, and then you make a quick calculus of SPS slurs per second, because you'll be surprised.
I probably will not be surprised, but I understand where you're coming from. But I mean, with declaring actions and reactions during conflict, that works the same way as normal. As far as what actions are allowed, you can move, which you're moving to an adjacent space on the grid. You cannot move diagonally. You can attack an enemy in your space if you have a melee weapon, or anywhere in the grid if you have a ranged weapon. That costs 1 action. If that action is not negated, you inflict 1 point of vigor to your enemy, and if you use a melee weapon, you can spend up to 2 extra actions to inflict 1 more damage. Per action. So that's the trade-off we have with melee and ranged weapons. Ranged weapons can hit just about anywhere, but they only do 1 damage. Melee weapons can do up to 3, but it does require you to spend, and you have to attack them in the same grid spot as you. So
I hate that kind of balancing.
oh,
Not like mechanic wise, but like on the field, like what the fuck you mean the like 3 inches giant hole that I put on his chest is a mere flesh wound compared to a guy hitting him with a club.
Now, given what this is drawing upon, I can see the logic. But then we have assessing the situation, which you can make a reasoning roll to get clues about enemies and allies in the battlefield. You can spend an action to achieve an objective. Some powers require an action to activate. As far as reactions, you can do attacks of opportunity. It does cost a reaction to do so. And if you do an attack of opportunity, you can't spend additional reactions to do extra damage. You can block, where you just say, nope, you're not leaving. You can defend, just opposing an attack. Or oppose a objective. If you're doing multiple attacks, you're spending actions or reactions for each target individually. So if there's 3 enemies and you want to hit all 3 of them, if they're the same tier, that's 3 actions you have to spend. Well, if it's a melee weapon. If it's a ranged weapon, and I'd say this is where that issue you mentioned earlier, Flame, kind of evens itself out. Because remember, as long as you've got the points to spend, you can keep doing actions or reactions.
So that makes sense.
So that ranged character could be an easy roam clearer. Just spending 3 or so actions to target 3 enemies across the battlefield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Vigor obviously is HP. You go down to 0, you're considered defeated, you can't take part in the battle. You have to wait for a recovery phase in order to recover, unless there's an effect that is going to get you back in it. You can attempt to flee. If you do, you get the Shaken negative status. Essentially, you lose 1 action and 1 reaction. Each time you generate reserve, it's applied again. And with recovery, you can either get 2 vigor points back, recover 3 resources you spent, or end all negative statuses. But the narrator gets 2 adversity points that they can hold in reserve. But after that, they go into miscellaneous rules about reasoning rolls, and how to use them during, say, the research phase, which is a nice thing to do. A optional equipment setup if you want to use traditional monetary. Though they're not doing a hard and fast guild system, which for a game like this might be the right call. This is a very narrativist, abstract kind of game. So having set costs might take away from that. And then instead of doing leveling, we clearly have a milestone of you get this at the end of a mission. All resources, ability points, and vigor is fully recovered. You may modify resources based on events. Change your main weapon according to your changed preference if need be. And in the following order, you get a new power from your guild list, or increase an ability by 1, or increase vigor by 1. These bonuses are sequential and gained in a round-robin fashion. Which, I think that's a good way to have a leveling system without actually needing to worry about how much XP you have to track.
Yeah. Sounds neat.
Yeah. That is neat.
And they do
never saw too much use for XP itself on a tabletop RPG. I feel like if you're making a campaign, milestones is seems like always the better choice.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Then we have a section about creating opponents. Yes, full NPC creation so that people know what sort of monsters they want to put the party up against. Imagine the concept.
It's almost like you don't need 2 extra books to actually do this.
Crazy.
I did it in one optional book, but it will always amuse the hell out of me when some of the bigger names in tabletop can't put a NPC creation system in their own books. And in this case, what we have, because of how abstract it is, we don't have to worry too much about things like a challenge rating equivalent, which, by the way, good riddance, because even when it was introduced in 2000, I was never a big fan of challenge rating. Mostly because challenge rating only works if you have a balanced party of 4 of the original 4 classes. That is way too much of an ask. But, and by the way, Zunix, I love that you're reactive when you're muted has you ringing a bell.
Yeah, I know. It's ringing a bell.
Mm-hmm.
It's singing ring a ding a ding a ding.
Yep. But creating NPCs in this is really just answering a series of questions. What's the opponent's power class? For each team member, you get an opponent of level alpha. For each power each team member has beyond the 4th, including the base power, you add another alpha. You add up to you can convert 2 alphas into a beta, and 3 of them into a gamma. Also ask the question of, do they belong to the Forsaken Legion? If they're an adversary, and if so, write their resources. And then select powers you prefer from the power list and write them down. That is admittedly a bit loose compared to other entries, but I like that there is that guidance there, and again, it's asking and answering a set of questions. And we do have a dividing line between levels alpha, beta, and gamma. Level alpha, the most common opponents. A battle of several of them will not create serious problems. Level beta, medium-powered opponents. Excellent to characterize your foes, not to be underestimated. Highest tier is level gamma, very dangerous opponents. Even one of these may turn out to be dangerous because of the high potential damage. So we have the mooks, so your slimes, your goblins, your trash mobs. That's level alpha. Level beta is, this is going to be around trash mobs, but they're a priority target. And gamma is your bosses. The either stay away from it or prioritize that target. I suppose if I were to make a parallel between this and, say, Doom, level alphas would be things like zombie men and shotgunners, maybe imps as well. Beta would be things like pinkies or mancubus.
I would put the mancubus a little bit up higher. I would say like a Hell Knight, since it's the weaker variant of the Baron, and I will most certainly put a fucking pain elemental in Gamma.
I can understand
I
why. 'Cause
despise them.
join the club. Everybody hates pain elementals, but
Mhm.
oh, Barons of Hell would
It's
fall
either
under
that
Gamma.
or
I'd say
an Archvile.
oh
That is most
yes.
certainly a Gamma.
Yes. Oh, Archviles are definitely that. I'd say also Arachnotrons or Spider Masterminds, and of course Cyber Demons.
I would go as far to say the Cyber Demon is your level beta because you do what any other human would do. You circle around it.
Hmm. If I were to use more recent examples, the Marauder is a Gamma. 'Cause
Oh,
fuck that
absolutely.
guy. Oh. And no, Spectres that's still beta because Spectre's just a pinky that's hard to see. Oh. The asshole in me wants to put Lost Souls as Gamma because I hate them. But because they go down so easy, they'd be alphas.
I would put them in beta for Doom 1 because on Doom 1 you don't have a reliable one-shot them because the shotgun is fucking RNG based. But once you get the super shotgun, then they're no longer a problem.
Yeah.
The pain elemental that you forget to kill and now has filled the entire level with lost souls. That is red.
Oh, I would put Chain Gunners as beta.
It depends. If they go the Plutonia way and they put a hidden archvile, the chain gunner is most certainly a gamma.
And I'd probably also put the Revenants as gammas as well because of how well their missiles are at finding you. Also because of lingering trauma from Plutonia and from all the bullshit the Casali brothers pulled all those years ago.
Remember what Civi said. It is highly possible that there are more revenants in Plutonia than there are imps in Doom.
Also, the Monster Closet. Eight out of 10 map, 10 out of 10 meme.
You can see the parts of Half-Life 1 where you say this is fucking Casali's fault.
I will give him credit for the fact that he owns that. He has outright said that he has no sympathy for anyone who picks up Plutonia and then complains that it's too hard.
I actually pistol started it like the entirety of it. At first it's really rough, but then like midway through it's no longer a problem because the first weapon they give you is the rocket launcher.
But as a general rule, opponents have 4 vigor points, plus one for alpha and 2 for beta. Not beta, gamma. They each get 2 powers. Beyond alpha, they get an additional 1 per tier. They do choose between melee or ranged weapons, like with PCs. 4 die in their deployment roll, plus 1 for beta or gamma. And each opponent can use up to 4 adversity points in order to act. So they do have a limited pool. And there are powers that are unique to opponents. And we also have a few sample opponents, which is nice. But of course, at the tail end, we have an example of what the battle grid looks like. You know, just take that corner that you have there and just print it 4 times, and that's the battle grid. So given that, it kind of makes sense how they handle this zone-based combat approach. but I'd say if there's any big takeaway I personally have with Aegis, it's that do not approach Aegis with a roll-to-hit tactical approach. This is far more about managing resources.
It is very interesting. I don't know how I feel yet. I feel like it has interesting, like, in theory and all that. But to be fully convinced, I would have to say that I need to try it.
Yeah.
Because I still have some lingering doubts about some stuff.
I can understand that, and for Ramen and Zun, I know there's a lot that got skimmed, but what do you two think of what you see out of Aegis and what it's presenting?
I feel like I'm kind of in the same boat with what Flame said. I would need to play it a little bit just to kind of get the hang of it, since I'm more of like a hands-on learner in this case.
I can get that. What about you, Zun?
I feel like on paper it makes sense, but I feel like that actually playing the game would make a lot more sense than actually reading it.
The thing that maybe I want to see, like, how well it works on execution is the whole faces thing, like each face.
The approach that I'm seeing with it is a very simplified manner. And I don't think you're going to be doing an extremely elaborate combat encounter with this. It's certainly in keeping with the type of combat that it's inspired by, because keep in mind, with a lot of the system, it's trying to emulate console-style RPGs.
Right.
And I think to a certain extent it does that, but I'm not quite sure. It does suffer this. It suffers the same, but I think this is going to suffer the same problem that you'd see in, say, Fabula, where by not being specific about what sort of console-style RPG it's emulating, but instead trying to do a grab bag, it's not as specific as it needs to be on that front. The fact that it's kind of skims on settings doesn't help either. Like,
yeah.
There's setting material. This isn't full setting agnosticism. But I'm not sure it's enough. I think this would work pretty well as a very beer and pretzels affair. Very one-shot friendly.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Depending on what style of console-style RPG you want to emulate, this is going to vary in terms of how well it would work. So as far as my grading metric, I'd be willing to go with recommended as the highest grade I could go with. Which, for context, Ramen and Zun, I never use a numerical score. I have not used a numerical score in almost a decade.
You do well.
I do a tier system instead. which is again built more on who I'd be willing to recommend it to and how many caveats there are to that recommendation. From top to bottom, it's strongly recommended, playable, caution, avoid.
All right.
I find it gets the point across significantly better than a numeric system where you're like, okay, what exactly does a 7 mean? And why is a 5 not average? Those kind of questions.
Yeah.
I can get down with
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Strongly recommended is a case of I could recommend this easily to just about anybody with very little in the way of asterisks or catches. Recommended are those ones that are almost greatness. They'd be in strongly recommended if it weren't for a couple things holding them back. Playable is it works, but you might have to do some house ruling for it. Caution is you can make it work, but you're definitely gonna have to do some house ruling to make it functional. And avoid is I cannot recommend it. There's not as many games on the list that I've covered that get the avoid category as people might think.
I don't
Because
think of the ones that we covered that we ever got even to a caution one.
no, to get to the level of caution or avoid, you have to really suck.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be on the level of like Palladium or the Unholy Trinity to get avoid. Or you have to have such bad navigation that I want to find out whoever was doing your graphic design. And I kind of hinted at before, and Flame knows this all too well. Whenever a game of significant size does not have an index, that is my berserk button.
Yeah. That's the first thing he checks about every single book we start.
If the PDF has bookmarks and if it has an index. If it's a small book without an index, I'm not going to raise too much of a fuss. Like this one's 84 pages, and the PDF is bookmarked, so it evens out. I've seen some modern games, including one we covered in the past, that didn't have bookmarks, and it was 300 pages.
Gee, I wonder which one could it be.
But with that said, I'm going to hit the BRB for a moment so I can refill on tea and switch over to Dungeoneers.
Alrighty. Okay.
And
We're
we
back.
are back, ladies and gentlemen. After making Zun cringe with the chiropractor joke. Don't worry, I do it to
Yes.
everybody.
I still have to see my chiropractor.
If I ever go to any doctor that I have, he or she always looks at me and goes, "Okay, what did you do this time?"
Same here.
I think with one of them, it was a case of I had to tell him, let's see, should I talk about the bar fight stunt or the whole getting set on fire part? Don't worry, I had a suit. I had a suit on.
I don't think it makes it better.
It's not my fault he didn't specify. But
Okay, let's go bar fight.
they forgot to
I
gimmick
can
the
relate
bar
on a
stools.
personal level.
They forgot to gimmick the bar stools when they hit me.
Aww.
And, going through multiple takes for a film. When I was done with it the next morning, I couldn't move. I mean, I could. I was just in so much pain. I was like, nope, I am lying down.
So you're a movie stunt person.
I was. One time. And that was enough for me to say I'm not doing this again, ever.
So one and done deal, or
Yep.
in a previous life?
One and done. That was it. Not doing it again. I would sooner wear plate mail in the summer again before I do that. But with Dungeoneers, I will smile over one thing that we have here. The table of contents is hyperlinked.
Oh yeah.
You
That's
love
already a good
to
point.
see it. So it is clear that Dungeoneers here does not have a setting, but it does have a vibe. That vibe is a very comic book-esque take on adventuring as a profession.
Yep.
So think less of D&D and more of Layers.
I was gonna think more of what was that one game that was kind of a ripoff of Overwatch that people thought of?
Uh,
When it first came out? Oh gosh. I can't remember.
Paladins?
Paladins, yeah. That's what its art style reminds me of.
um, if it weren't for other problems, I'd probably be playing Paladins more than I do, because it does at least attempt to fix some of the issues that I have with Overwatch. The game that I really liked in that genre that got severely screwed over twice is Gigantic. Mostly because Perfect World had to be an idiot. But I've always liked the idea of adventuring guilds and adventuring being a profession. I know a lot of people like to claim that this is some newfangled thing, but the idea of adventuring as a profession or a guild like that is... I think one of the earliest examples I saw of it is the Slayers Guild in Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, which that series of stories came out in the 50s. And there was a adventuring guild equivalent in the Unfinished Tales for Lord of the Rings. But since it's the Unfinished Tales, I understand why a lot of people don't know it. The point is,
Yeah.
the idea of a adventurer's guild is not as new as people think it is. It's not something that was born out of isekai or fantasy manga. It's been around for decades. Much like how, depending on how you want to look at it, Alice in Wonderland is an isekai.
Never thought of it that way.
I like to bring that up just to mess with people, and to reinforce the fact that the term isekai is new, the concept isn't. Especially given all those kid in a fantasy setting books, cartoons, and movies that I remember all over the place growing up. But after the orientation page, which is more about talking about the Adventurers Guild, we first have, instead of character creation, character registration. And I do like that it's written from the perspective as if it's being read off by the guild receptionist.
We're
But-
being Genshin impacted. We're
Uh-oh.
being forced into a guild that we never wanted to be forced into.
I still have not played any gacha at all.
I want to say you're not missing out, but never know.
I've been told I've been missing out on setting, and I have considered at least one as a research project, but every time I start, something happens. I have thought about trying out Dragon Sword Awakening, because that's basically a gacha without having to spend extra money.
True.
But so the first step is choosing ancestry, and each one has their type, size, age, languages, innate skills, and optional skills. There was a sidebar beforehand that optional skills for each ancestry can be gained by spending a skill point, and are only available to the appropriate ancestry. So of these, we have human, goblin, oozling, gnome, Arborean. So,
For something that derives from the word tree, they look more like flowers
oh,
or a cacti.
mhm. Drink cactus juice. It'll quench you.
I fucking
Quench
despise
juice.
cactus.
Oh, I have had some incidents being hit by cacti, so I completely understand.
I have one in the front yard of my house, and every single time I get close to it, I have no less than 15 needles in my arm by the time I realize.
Oh. I was helping somebody move once, and they didn't tell me about the cactus, and I ended up walking right into it because I was moving backwards. I end up feeling all those needles. I finished the move job, and then afterwards I said, "When I get all these needles out, I'm giving you a 15-second head start."
So you gave him a piece of brown medicine.
I'll just imagine turning a corner and you see someone running like a bull, seeing red, and they're twice your size. That was me to him, and I was like, you can run all you want. I'm gonna catch you eventually, and I'm going to make sure you understand exactly how much pain I went through. Oh.
It were up to me, but it isn't because the cacti isn't mine. I would just water it slowly to see it die before my eyes.
But anyway, I do like with the dwarf, there's a bigger emphasis on them being stone adjacent instead of just being short, stocky people.
They're literally built like stones.
Yep. And the whole thing of eating stone.
Rock and stone.
If you're not rocking stone, you're not going home. And then we have the
roll, more like rock and stone.
We have the Faunian, which is basically a beastkin, and we do have multiple variations of them. So, mammalian variants, avian variants, reptilian variants, amphibian variants, and insectoid variants. See, then Serpentsin, so snake folk, and the half-bloods, which is exactly what it sounds like. After that, you pick your background, which each one seems to grant 15 in 3 talents, as well as a bonus to each of them. So because of that, I'd say it has a lot more impact than the way background works in the world's most litigious role-playing game. But you also can choose to fault.
Hey, there's mine. Weak stomach.
Then allocate your attributes. You have, first off, your stats, of which you have 4. Vitality, Attack, Dexterity, and Focus. You distribute 15 more stat points between them. They cap at 18. You can lower a stat by 1 to get an extra point. But no matter... Without outside bonuses, the cap is 18. So Vitality determines HP for 1. Your HP is equal to half your Vitality rounded up. At 0 HP, you have to make a Vitality roll each time you're hit, with an increasing -1 penalty each time you roll. If you fail, you're unconscious until the next scene, or when you regain HP. That does mean if somebody's really lucky, they could pull the "I didn't hear no bell."
Ding 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 ding.
Mm-mm. I think we've all known that one person who's beat to hell in an encounter, but they've still got at least 1 hit point, so they're not out.
Yep.
Oh.
It was me. I was the guy.
Mm-hmm. But attack determines how much damage you do. You're gonna no matter what, you're gonna do either 1, 2, or 3 points of damage, depending on how much lower your roll is to the target number. So we're rolling low for this. So if it's less than or equal to the target number, 1 damage. If it's less than the target number -4, 2 damage. -8, 3 damage. And there's a spot on the damage chart to quick reference that. Focus determines how often you can use skills or activate item abilities. Since we're clearly channeling console RPGs, this is skills in terms of special abilities instead of what skills usually mean in tabletop games.
Right.
I suppose focus could also be the equivalent of MP. Dexterity determines speed and evasion. When moving further than a medium distance with a move action, you have to make a dexterity roll with a penalty given by the GM to represent hazards. You start with 0 evasion and gain 1 evasion at 14, 16, and 18 dexterity. Evasion is a resource that can be used to completely avoid an attack or ability. You can evade a number of times equal to your total evasion, and it does not recover until the next scene. But then we have talents, which I suppose talents would be akin to what would be skill rolls in other games. All talents talents that aren't part of your background start at rank 10. You have 3 points to rank up talents. They cannot go over 18. And the talents that are available are Might, Agility, Mind, Resolve, Social, Arcane, Survival, and Craft. And hello there, Davi. Welcome to the madness. You also have 5 skill points to unlock starting skills. Each skill costs 1 point. Some can rank up, others can't. And then purchasing items. When you level up, you gain 1 stat point, 1 skill point, and 3 talent points. And there is also reputation, which is your good boy points for being able to complete missions. And I like that the threshold for reputation is divided into ranks of adventurer. So we have bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. Not far removed from ranked in League, except with much less stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I hate to keep picking on League like this, but do I?
No, you don't.
Oh yeah, and I forgot
That's
to
the
mention.
truth.
No one ever should.
Well, I hold these truths to be self-evident that all are cremated equal. But I forgot to mention everybody starts with 600 gold to purchase starting items. If you're starting at a higher level, you can get an additional 100 gold per level. But you do not need to purchase starting weapons. That's a freebie. And starting armor is cosmetic.
Yay.
But one of the things we didn't see is classes. we have a mostly freeform affair here, which is very nice. But then with the core mechanics, this is a roll low 2d12 system. And Mario says, is Diamond the best because Diamond is unbreakable?
I love that reference.
I like the reference, but that's the thing that's going to get you thrown into the pool. There's a couple of gifs I end up using in my server of whenever somebody says something stupid, they get thrown into the lake.
I don't know. I prefer gold, just like the wind. Do I get to go to the pool as well?
Yeah, you're going to the water dimension.
Please no.
The water level.
Mm-mm.
Oh my god.
Well, it could
I don't
be
like the
worse.
water level.
I could send you to the water temple.
I actually have a what's it called, the PC version of compilation of to play the Zelda games,
Mm-hmm.
and I left the game Ship of Harkonnen.
Yep.
I have it right before I enter the water temple because I fucking despise it, and I never touch it.
Even
feels there like-
Miyamoto regrets it, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was fixed in your version, but every remake since has tried to make the water temple less painful.
Oh no, this thing isn't, because it's compiled from the Nintendo 64 ROM.
Oh, shit.
So it is pure, genuine pain.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, I like that we're using 2d12s. That's the one die type that doesn't get enough love, in my opinion. And as mentioned, you're trying to aim low, which
So it should be less than half, isn't it?
So let me see what the median result is, and over on any dice. So the median result is 13. So if your skills are at 10, that's a 6%. That's a 6% chance of getting that 10. Then just add up the others. And yes, I get it, Mario. I'm just sandbagging it. Now one would think, if you roll snake eyes, that's a crit. No, in this case, if you roll doubles at all, that's a crit or a botch. If you roll doubles when it's over, that's a botch. If you roll doubles when it's under, that's a crit.
There's another game that does that. Doesn't Cthulhu do that?
Call of Cthulhu doesn't. It has a defined crit range. Eclipse Phase did.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, I take it back. If you roll over and it still doubles, that's still a crit. So even if you miss and you crit, you still hit. That's a good way to add some chaos.
I'm happy as well that we get to use a D12, because for me the D12 is always the dice I grab thinking it is a D20.
It's also the die that barely gets used. Like, maybe if you play Barbarian, you'd use it on hit dice and not much else. But there's also talent marks. Sometimes the GM will make a talent roll, where you have to roll 2d12 and have the result be less than or equal to the talent rank to overcome an obstacle. Each success on a meaningful challenge earns you 1 talent mark. You can and those talent marks, I believe, are going to be part of advancement. So we essentially have a advance by doing approach. Which that is a nice touch. When it comes to actions in combat, it is operating on an AP system, much like Pathfinder 2nd Edition. You have 3 AP you can use. You can spend one on movement, attacks, skills, talents, or using items. Some of them may require more than 1 AP, and if you can't spend it, you can't use it. Oh. Let's see. And when it comes to... It looks like we're not dealing with a standard initiative approach, but more of you take the initiative as long as you've got enough AP to act. So when the party runs out of AP, then it's the enemy's turn.
I think Nimble had a similar option of all players act first and then the enemies.
Mm-hmm. Well, for the most part, the exception was bosses.
Yeah.
Which bosses always acted in between PCs. Which I prefer that to those legendary actions that or layer actions that just negate whatever a player did. Yep. Hey, I got a crit and I did a shitload of damage. And it's completely useless because of a legendary action.
Yeah.
But whenever a player or their PC or their companions take an action, the GM gains AP that they can use at any time. NPCs taking action have priority over a player wanting to take an action at the same time. So essentially the more you act, the more the bigger the action pool that the GM is going to get. That is an interesting way to do it, instead of having a set AP pool for each individual character or monster. Also, I do like when it comes to reactions, you're not set with just one reaction and that's all you get. As long as... I mean, there's only one reaction per trigger, but it's not like you can only do that one reaction and then if that reaction would trigger up any other time, you can't do it. I've never been a big fan of that.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Mm-hmm. But then we have cinematic actions. You can spend 3 AP and a talent mark, so I guess I was wrong on talent marks, to perform a cinematic action to enact narrative feats of strength and affect the environment or battlefield. These can be used as reactions. This is essentially a stunt rule. So if you want to do those leaping from the chandelier to do a plunging attack kind of thing, I feel like that is what a cinematic action would be for.
Hell yeah.
So, at least with the action economy, there's a very action movie approach that it seems to be going for. But when it comes to ranges, it seems to be pretty... I'd say pretty loose. It's more about a certain amount of meters, but we're not dealing with a full grid by default. We do have a sidebar that you can use a grid if you want, where 1 square is 1 meter. But because of how loose it is, this means you could use the superior grid. Hexes.
Oh, no hexes! I'm melting.
But advantage and disadvantage works the way you're familiar with. Uh, and if you do have companions or summons, they have their own rules. They act on the adventurer's turn. You can only have one companion and one horde active at a time unless you have something that says otherwise. They have 1 AP by default, though you can spend your own AP to give them additional actions. They do not have focus, though you can spend your own focus to use abilities. Companions and summons have 10 in every stat and talent unless otherwise noted, and have at least a melee attack available to them. You can call upon a companion and horde at the beginning of battle. If a companion falls, you can call upon a new one using 1 AP and spending 3 focus, or use a skill that summons another to replace it. Creatures can be dismissed as will with no action cost. Summons and creatures created through skills such as Raised Skeleton are permanently destroyed when their HP reaches 0 unless otherwise noted, such as Tamer Companions, which return to the Ether and recover their forms until the start of the next adventuring day. So you can actually have someone do a summoner build without it bogging everything down because of the fact that you don't have to worry about 5 or 6 more summons and their initiative spot.
Nice.
I like that because I remember playing Pathfinder and having one person who wanted to be a swarm summoner, and dealing with his swarms was a royal pain. He basically wanted to Zerg rush in combat.
It always has to be that guy.
Yeah. No one likes that guy.
Don't be that guy.
But
Which reminds me, I'm afraid this is the moment where I am that guy, because it's midnight and I need to get going.
no worries, Flame. I will catch you next week.
All right. Take care, everyone.
But
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
But when it comes to quests and reputation, I do like that we have a bit of guidance on the tier of difficulty for them, as well as what you might get out of it, both in and also some sample quests. And each one is, you could put these on a business card and you'd be fine. But there's also the rival rules, where you basically build an NPC who's meant to act as a rival to the party who does scale with you. This is kind of why I ended up thinking of Slayers. And with each rivals also have their own resource in the form of heat. This isn't something that's spent per se, but for the longest time, but it's something that escalates. And because this is channeling video game RPGs, we do have our limit break equivalent with Overdrive. Once per session, an adventurer can spend 5 talent marks to seize the spotlight and activate Overdrive. The player takes control of the scene and narrates their Overdrive moment and their actions they take during the scene. They roll 2d12 and must meet or beat a TN equal to 10 plus the talent marks spent. On a success, they describe the full cinematic effect. On a failure, they narrate and succeed, but the GM creates a complication to the outcome. So it is most certainly a limit break-like effect, but I like that there is a risk if you don't have the dice gods on your side. And whenever you do it, at the end of the scene, you have to roll on the narrative drawback table and deal with its debuff at the beginning of the next scene until that scene ends. And the drawbacks are pretty nasty, like brain fog, having it that your mind is ranked 0, so you roll 10 on that. Or Shaken Resolve, where you can't get talent marks. In a roundabout way, this kind of reminds me of Tunnels and Trolls, which should not come too surprising because Tunnels and Trolls was very popular in Japan. But we also have social encounters, something that D&D purports to have for most of the time, but never really does.
We do enjoy social encounters.
Like, supposedly you can do social encounters by using skill rolls, but anytime that, say, Core 5e has tried to do it, it's always been not even half-assed, quarter-assed. But when it comes to the structure of social encounters, the GM uses a stat called Composure, which is a measure of how resistant they are to being swayed, which is anywhere from 0 to 6. Then determining their social tag, which is how they communicate towards the party. This is either intimidation, persuasion, deception, or rapport. And the party chooses their approach, which is on the same 4-tag setup. Persuasion, intimidation, deception, and rapport. I.e., how do you talk to them in the social encounter? The balance between those two types determines whether the approach is effective, neutral, or ineffective. If it's effective, you reduce the target's composure by 2. If it's ineffective, you increase it by 2. And if it's neutral, no change. And the composure is treated as when you do the social roll. It is treated as either a bonus or a penalty to based on whether or not, I would say, penalty equal to the target's composure, which is why you'd want it to be as close to 0 as possible. And you can have party members assist by doing a leader check. Each supporting player can lower the target's composure by 1. Which is a very nice touch. And it does appear that reputation is not only the good boy points, but also how you're going to be leveling up. The max level appears to be 10. And while leveling up is automatic, going up in guild rank requires a guild trial. This could be a trial by combat, by skill, social, or a blend. Though I do like that they note that trials are not pass-fail. And one of the bigger parts of the book is skills, which this is a classless system, so you can pick any skill as long as you meet the prerequisites. This is one of those things that could make or break, because analysis paralysis is a thing. You know, much like approaching a wizard in a lot of games and going, okay, you have this many spell slots, and then they look at the giant ass spell list and go, okay, what can I actually pick? What is actually going to be useful for this campaign?
Yeah, these are a lot of skills. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these are a lot.
It's still going.
I will give them credit for the fact that they categorize the skills instead of doing what like 3rd edition D&D or Pathfinder did, where it was just one big dumb list with some ridiculous prerequisites. Hi, Whirlwind Attack, how you doing? I still hate you. But some have concentration, which means in order to maintain the effect, you have to spend 1 AP. This is actually a more sensical version of concentration than the one that we're familiar with. You know, where you have to spend your whole... Unless you have haste, you have to spend your whole last turn maintaining that one spell. But and of course, some skills are magical in nature and will have the tag as such. On its own, it doesn't matter unless you're dealing with something anti-magic or certain creatures that alter the way magic works. And passive ones will obviously always be active. They're passive. More active skills will note their cost and focus, as well as AP and what their range is. But I like that we have them categorized in general skills, social, and then what could be considered classes. Like Aether Warden, Marksman, Assassin, Tinkerer, Magistrate, Oracle, Glyph Scribe, Berserker, Necromancer, Sentinel, Tamer, Elementalist, Formweaver, Spellblade. Like these skill lists are the closest thing to classes that this game has. Although maybe comparing it to talent trees in some ARPGs might be a closer analogy. Let's see, Weapon Master, Dragoon, Void Runner. Now you're thinking with portals. Hex Weaver, Monk. I might be biased. Mesmerist. My only problem with this list is it's not alphabetized. But because of this setup, certain multi-class builds that might be difficult in other games would be ridiculously easy here. See, then they go into items, gear, and crafting. Crafting is just a check during downtime and could have various complexity based on what you're trying to make. At the very least, we're not doing anything like you lose XP from making magic items. Because, yeah, that was a thing. It was stupid, and I don't miss it. But after that is environmental hazards, which is nice. Scenes and downtime. They keep calling these different sections chapters, but some of them only go a couple pages.
Yeah.
With enemies and encounter design, I do like that they have combat roles that suggest stats and abilities for them. This was something that was in 4th edition that was not in 5th, unfortunately. So we have Bruiser, Striker, Support, Leader, Elite, Horde, and Minion. And I do like the way they have the sample enemies set up. Even if it's just a couple, it's a nice it's a nice foundation to build around. Especially, and I can't complain too much about a freebie. The same thing goes with the more enchanted equipment. Including the Mask of the Hidden Hero. Plot twist, the Mask of the Hidden Hero is just a pair of glasses. Hey, it works for Superman. But then we have a more full creature compendium towards the back. And you know, it's clear that there's parts of this game that aren't finished. There's a lot of missing art. There's a lot of white space we saw that I think is meant to be art. But overall, I think the one elephant in the room when it comes to Dungeoneers is going to be the way it handles skills.
I feel like they put a lot of time and effort into how many skills, but they didn't. They probably could have put a little more time into how many mobs there were, or how many social interactions. That way, people that were getting this as kind of something to go off of, it could be definitely something that you could use instead of trying to homebrew something.
I know that 5e has had that whole habit of you're supposed to have this many encounters and this many and spend this many resources per session, but they're in the minority when it comes to that approach. And we do kind of have something in that direction. Oh, no. When it comes to the sample quests. Since each one is divided into a series of plots and then a turn-in reward. And some suggested obstacles in each of them, so there is a foundation on that front. But because of how very beer and pretzels and very action movie the game is designed, I don't think there's ever going to be something like you have to do this many encounters per session or use this amount of focus per session. Plus,
Then I've got a question that I guess I could throw out.
Mhm.
Do you think that this could possibly be turned into a one shot?
yes, especially with those sample quests. I think that it might be an easier one shot if there were pre-gens, but when I say easier, that's like 1 or 2% easier as comparatively speaking. And I think like I said, if the skill list was in one giant list, that would most definitely be a problem. Because of the fact that it's kind of organized into class trees in a sense, it doesn't become as much of a problem as it might appear at first. But I'd be far more willing to recommend Dungeoneers than I was Aegis.
I would have to agree on that.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
Aegis certainly had a lot going for it. Dungeoneers, I think, has a stronger voice in terms of what specifically it's trying to do. And I think if somebody was approaching this, I'd say, do not approach this as if you're trying to do a serious fantasy epic, like you're trying to do Lord of the Rings. You're not doing Lord of the Rings. You're doing Slayers or Orphan or any number of fantasy anime or comic books. I think that is the approach that you have to take with this. This is one of those cases. It doesn't have a setting, but it has a consistent tone.
I could also see it being very good for beginners.
Yes. Especially since no matter what, all roads point to that 2d12.
Exactly. I feel like with Aegis, it could get a little confusing for beginners.
Aegis is going to live and die on the genre savviness of the table.
Yeah.
Especially with some of those blank checks. Here, I do think that people who have more of a video game background are going to take to this easier. It's not the first time I've seen that. I had interviewed the developer of the Prometheum system, just before around the same time that they announced their partnership with Falcom. And I remember him saying that people who had mostly played video game RPGs took to his system more easily than people who had played more TTRPGs.
Oh, interesting.
And it certainly that system had certain elements that are going to click more easily to somebody who hasn't had it drilled into their head about the right way to do things with fantasy gaming, I would say. I've seen this with my own work where people even though I've explained why I don't do it, have insisted that I need to do grid combat because it just doesn't make sense to not do it. I don't do grid combat, I do a row setup. And I was very specific about why I did that. But I remember Paula Schur saying the greatest innovations were done by people who had no idea what they were doing.
Sometimes the best way to find out what we're doing is just to fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
And it is, when it comes to presentation, it is a little bit unfair to compare Dungeoneers and Aegis because one of them came out this year and the other one came out in 2011. But there is definitely a stronger voice, as mentioned before. I realize that sounds a bit wishy-washy to say, but that's the best way I can describe what we have here. And admittedly, this is something you see a lot within Japanese tabletop of, instead of trying to do a bunch of things at once, it's like, no, we're doing this thing, take it or leave it.
I think it definitely presents a good argument for a Japanese tabletop.
And I've presented a lot more examples of that. Of the Japanese TTRPGs that I've covered, including Sword World on Sundays, none of them really use a generic setting, quote unquote. It's either trying to go for a certain tone, or it has a specific setting in mind. A game like, say, Eldritch Escape doesn't have a setting per se, but it has a recurring tone that it's building around. Versus something like Sword World, everything that it has in its system is built for its setting. That being Raxia. Could you run it in another fantasy setting? Technically, yes, but you're gonna have your work cut out for you. Just in terms of all the stuff you'd have to house rule. To the point where you're not house ruling anymore, you're a backseat designer.
At that point, you're just making a new game.
And there is precedent for that kind of thing. Middle-earth Roleplay, which is a spin-off of Rolemaster, started out as a collection of AD&D house rules that just iterated itself into becoming its own game. And there's plenty of stories of people trying to house rule a game that they were running, and then that collection of house rules became its own thing. Rolemaster is just one of the earliest examples. But all that being said, that is going to cover what we planned on covering for tonight. We will be back here next week as we begin our look at Cloudbreaker Alliance. So until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
Nah.